So dw dt is equal to some constant k times w. Yes? Okay. The rate of change of y with respect to t is proportional to y. So dy dt is equal to k times y. So we wrote lots of differential equations from word problems like this earlier this week. There was an activity or assignment where you did this a bunch of times. But this specific situation where the rate of change of something is proportional to that something, it has a special solution. And what do I mean solution to the differential equation? Well, the equation for W is going to be the solution. How do we usually find the solution to a differential equation? Usually, we separate the variables, and then we integrate both sides, and then we plug in and find C, and then we solve for Y, or solve for W, or solve for P, or whatever the name of the function is. But this guy, he's got a special form. His solution, and I'm just going to tell you, you can memorize this, and I'll give you an acronym to memorize it. It always looks like W equals W sub 0, that's a subscript, e to the kt. And this is the initial amount, so this would be like the initial weight. Okay, so down here, we see the same information. The rate of change of y is proportional to y. So when you have a differential equation that's this exact relationship, its solution looks like this. So again, previously, you guys did all of this work that I just wrote down on the left. You guys previously did all of that work to find the solution to a differential equation. But I'm telling you, for this particular special situation, the solution looks like this. So years ago, my first year teaching BC, this boy came up with an acronym to help us remember the solution to the differential equation. So it stands for y equals, you only enter Korea twice. What does it mean? I have no idea. Is it easy to remember? I think so. It's kind of quirky. So when you hear these words, the rate of change of y is proportional to y, or the rate of change of height is proportional to height, the rate of change of anything is proportional to anything, you want to think y equals you only enter Korea twice. That's what the equation is going to look like. Okay? Let's just do 3 short and easy examples today. So the solution to this differential equation, dy dt equals ky, is y equals you only enter Korea twice. Why? Because what I see here is the rate of change of y is proportional to y. So whenever you see the rate of change of y is proportional to y, this is the solution to that differential equation. So if we had more time and we were like in a normal class, I would kind of derive this solution to this differential equation for you, but you don't need to derive it, just memorize it. Okay, so first example, the rate of change of the number of bacteria is proportional to the number of bacteria. So instantly when you hear those words, the rate of change of something is proportional to something, you should think, oh, y equals you only enter Korea twice. So it says what the amount of bacteria triples in 5 hours. What is K? Okay, so if when the bacteria triples, the new amount of bacteria, which is y, is going to equal 3 times the original amount. So when the bacteria triples, the new amount is going to equal 3 times the original amount. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this expression 3y sub 0 and we're going to plug that in over here for y. So 3y sub 0, that's 3 times the initial amount, equals the initial amount e to the kt. But they told us this tripling happens after 5 hours. So we're plugging in to our equation, and now we're just going to solve for y. I'm sorry, now we're just going to solve for k. So we can just divide the y sub 0 out of both sides. So now we have 3 equals e to the 5k. Go ahead and put it in the chat. What are we going to do to both sides to try to get k by itself? What should we do to both sides to get k by itself? Thank you. Okay, so we are going to do ln on both sides. I didn't leave myself enough room, so let me just try to squeeze it in here. ln, there we go. So when we do ln on both sides, we get ln 3, and then on the right, the ln and the e cancel, and we get 5k. Speaking of running, there you go. It's a sign. Go run a 5k today. Okay, now let's divide both sides by 5. So k is going to equal ln 3 over 5. Question, is that the same as ln of 3/5? What do you think? Is this answer we got, is it the same as ln of 3/5? I need some help. Maybe some people in 5th period help me. Just put a yes or a no in the chat. Need some representation from 5th period. What do you think? I won't make fun of you if you're wrong. Are these the same thing? Man, tough crowd. Did 5th period, did you guys all walk away from your screens? Okay, 4th period. Are these the same? ln 3 divided by 5, is that the same as ln 3/5? What do you think? Just give me a yes or a no. Good. Hey, thanks, 4th period. Thank you. Do you think those 5th period people just walked away from their screens? I should make you guys turn on your cameras. So yeah, that is not the same as ln of 3/5. So you have to leave it as ln 3 over 5. Any questions before we go on? Okay, read this one. Bye. She's taking the cat out on his leash. He loves it. Close the door. Okay. The rate of change of volume is proportional to volume. So the rate of change of volume is proportional to volume. So you can write that equation with V's, or you can write it with Y's. It doesn't matter. At time 0, the volume is 30. So this information here, this tells us what V sub 0 is. V sub 0 is 30 because that's the starting amount. So the amount at time 0 is the starting amount. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that in here. When t equals 4, the volume is 60. So when t equals 4, the volume is 60. All of this information they give you, they give that to you so you can find k. Okay, so let's plug in and find k. So 60 equals 30 e to the k, and then we knew that t was 4. So go ahead and solve that, please, for k, just like we did on the last example. Okay, so I'm going to take I'm dividing by 30, and I'm going to take ln on both sides. And so we get 4k equals ln 2, and then k is ln 2 over 4. Again, that's not the same as ln of 2/4, so the 2 and the 4 can't reduce. Okay, so we're done with this initial information, but now there's a follow-up question. Well, now we get to the real question. At what time is the volume 70? So let's go back to our V equals V sub 0 e to the kt. Well, we want a new volume to be 70. Our old volume is still 30. And then we have E. Our K is what we just found, ln 2 over 4. And T is what we have to find in the problem. We need to find the amount of time that would yield a volume of 70. So let's divide both sides by 30 first. We're solving for T. I can reduce that to 7/3. E to the ln, man, let me write that a little bit better. E to the ln 2 over 4 and then T. Okay, so I got some help in the chat earlier. To get rid of that E, we're going to do ln on both sides. So let's stick in ln here. And by the way, before we do that, this ln and this E do not cancel. The reason is this ln is only applied to the 2, but the E has everything in the exponent. So because the ln and the E are applied to different things, they don't cancel. Again, this ln only applies to the 2, but everything listed there is in the exponent. So to get rid of that E, we have to stick an ln in front of each side. Now those cancel. So we have ln of 7/3 equals ln 2 all over 4 times T. Okay, so to get the T by itself, so what my Algebra 2 kids know is they know to get rid of a fraction coefficient, we multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 4 over ln 2 on both sides. And so that's going to get rid of that ln 2 over 4. And then this is my answer for T. It's ugly. You could put it in a calculator and find the exact answer, but that's all we need to do. Okay, so if you're unsure how to get started, put 2s sub 0 in for s over here, and then plug in 1 for T, and then see if you can solve for K. So that's kind of like the first part of what we're going to do on this problem. Okay, so I got ln2 is equal to k. And so now we're going to answer the question, how long will it take for the number of people socially distancing to be 10 times greater? So now our S is going to be 10 times the initial amount, and now we're solving for T. So go ahead and use the K that we found and solve for T. And who agrees with my value for K? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Just put like I do or me. Who agrees with the value I got for K? Okay, so just like on previous problems, this ln and e don't cancel because the only thing that's applied, the ln is applied to, is the 2. So because there's also a t in the exponent, the e and the ln don't cancel. So we have to take an ln on both sides. So ln 10 equals ln of all this stuff on the right. Now that ln and that e cancel. So then we can finish it up. ln 10 equals ln 2 times t, and then we'll just divide both sides by ln 2 to get t by itself. Okay, and if you're curious what the answer is, just type that in a calculator and we'll see how many weeks it takes for the number of people socially distancing to be 10 times greater. Okay, so I made a 6-question quizzes for you guys to practice this. It's due, I think, on Monday. So that might be a grade next 6 weeks. I might just put it in as extra credit, but it's the same difficulty as these questions. So I would encourage, they're multiple choice. I'd encourage you to go take care of that sometime over the weekend. I don't think they'll probably ask this on the AP test because it's such a very small topic, but it's possible. So I would go ahead and study this, do a little bit of practice using that quizzes. Okay, any questions before we go on? All right, okay, so what I wanted to do the rest of the time is I just got a free response question here. And I just want to show you how they've asked slope fields on free response questions in the past. So I just wanted to go over this with you real quick. It's highly unlikely you'll have to draw a slope field or even sketch in a slope field, but I wanted to show you how they've asked this because anything is possible, really. So consider this differential equation. But after we do part A together, I want you to try part B and C, because for sure part B and C are ones like you could see on the AP test. A slope field for the given differential equation is shown below. Sketch the solution curve that passes through the point 0, 2, and sketch the solution curve that passes through the point 1, 0. Okay, so up here at the point 0, 2, they even put the dot there for us on the slope field. So do you see at the point 0, 2, there's even like a horizontal slope there? So you're just going to, if you had a question like this, you would just follow the slopes. So going across there, you would just have a horizontal line. Easy. This guy, so you just kind of connect the dots. So if I go this way, I'm following the slopes to the right. Now, I just have to guesstimate what it's going to pass through. Okay, let's follow these slopes back to the left. Okay, so it looks like to me these slopes are getting flatter as they go to the left. So they're steeper here, but as we go to the left, you see the slopes are flatter. They flattened out, flattening the curve. So I'm going to flatten the curve out that I'm drawing, and then it's going to kind of connect with the slopes on the other side. Does it matter which slopes I go through exactly? No, I'm just going to try to match the general shape and slope of the curve. Okay, and this will be the last question we do. So go ahead and give part B and C a great attempt. Okay, I'm going to do the first step on C so you guys can make sure you're on the right track. Okay, so this problem, man, there's a lot of work here. So there will for sure be, like, I can almost guarantee there's going to be some U substitution on the AP test. Just so important. So whenever you're integrating, look for U substitution because it will probably be there. You probably are only going to have to evaluate maybe one integral on the whole AP test, and it will probably be U sub. So just make sure you're looking for it. So in this case, when we do our U sub, du just equals dy, so we didn't need to multiply by anything. But just be careful because U sub is going to be there somewhere. Okay, so then I'm integrate, and now I'm plugging in a 1 for x and a 0 for y. So I get c. Over here, I'm going to get negative times a negative because there's a negative inside and outside. So that's positive 1/2 because that negative exponent moves it to the bottom, and then minus 1/6. So you don't really need to simplify those if you don't want to. You can keep C looking ugly like that if you're not confident with your fractions, but I'm going to reduce that. It's going to be 3/6 minus 1/6 is 2/6, which it reduces to 1/3. Any questions on what we've done so far? Okay. I ran out of room. Wasn't prepared for this. Okay, so now I'm going to take that C value we found and plug it in here. So I get negative y minus 2 to the negative 1 equals 1/6 x squared plus 1/3. Okay, dividing by that negative in front. Okay, now I just need this negative 1 power. Don't worry about getting your answer looking all pretty. We just have to get rid of that negative 1 power. So to do that, I can just raise both sides to the negative 1 power. Don't flip the fractions over individually. That's not correct. But you can just raise both sides to the negative 1 power, and you get y minus 2 equals negative 1/6. Just rewrite this with the negative 1 power on it. And then add the 2 to the other side. Another correct way to write this is 1 over this whole thing, because that's the same thing as the negative 1 power. And then plus 2 back there. You just can't flip those terms individually. Any questions, math stars? I don't think there's gonna, I don't think they're gonna have you spend a lot of time doing like all this algebraic work on the AP test this year. Just not a lot of time for a lot of questions, but some things you for sure need to be able to do is separate the variables, integrate both sides, look for U sub. For sure, I think they're going to probably give you some kind of tangent line approximation. It might be in a word problem, but for sure that's something that you guys need to know how to do. Okay, any questions for me? So I put some reminders in the chat of things that we've talked about already today, and this is the end of the 6 weeks tomorrow. So, but you can retake anything. So if there's like a grade that you're like, oh, I don't feel great about it, I'll give you opportunity to retake it. Just please keep it honest. I'm having to message so many of my Algebra 2 kids, some of my BC kids, because cheating is happening. So I know 4th and 5th period are above that, right? I got some math stars in here, but just know that it's happening out there, and I know you guys are better than that. So just no using photo math or sending each other pictures, things like that. That's what I'm seeing a lot of. So just keep it clean, keep it honest. I care about you guys. Let me know if I can help with anything. And that's all I have for you today. Any questions for me?